It's good to see everybody here at Bristol Motor Speedway, and appreciate all the efforts Kevin and Lindsay and all the folks here have done to get us ready for this weekend. And no better way to lead this weekend off than to have Mark Martin. He's the driver of the number 14 Bass Pro Shops Mobile One Chevrolet for Stewart-Haas Racing. He's joined by Greg Zipadelli, who is the competition director over at Stewart-Haas Racing, and certainly a big week for this organization. Big week, Mark. Certainly, congratulations on driving that number 14 car. But just talk about how things unfolded the last few days, and then now that you got your sights set on the rest of this season, your thoughts about being behind the wheel over there.
Well, first of all, I'm honored and humbled both to be asked to fill in for Smoke, and really look forward to Tony getting back with us. So I just want to say that first of all, and it has been a whirlwind for sure. Getting the details sort of sorted out Sunday and Monday, really not until Monday, and then taking a trip over in Arkansas right now with Arlene, and taking a trip to North Carolina Tuesday and spending the day fitting seats and shooting pictures and getting to know people and faces and names and the organization and everything else. Tuesday and Wednesday was kind of a whirlwind for sure, and today I'm a little bit nervous. Today is going to be action packed with a short amount of practice to get ready to race tomorrow night and to qualify all packed into one day. But I'm excited about the challenge, and I'm extremely committed to do a good job for this race team, for this group, for Tony, and hopefully return his car back over to him in as good or better standing than when it was turned over to me.
Thank you, Mark and Greg. Just talk about the thought process that went into certainly been a lot of things happening over at your place the last few weeks, and certainly maybe just talk about the thought process and getting Mark and getting some stability over there here moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's a home run. I mean, obviously, he's big shoes to fill to take Tony's seat, and there's not many guys in the garage that could do that. We all agreed that if there was any way to get Mark Martin, he was the guy that would do us the best job and be able to do that. So, that's kind of like over the last few weeks, we said we were going to take our time, and everything that we did, we would try to be as calculated as we could, and obviously we were hoping we could get this worked out. Felt like it was the best opportunity for the 14 car to perform on a weekly basis and, do our sponsors the justice that they deserve.
Okay, we'll take questions now. Let's start with Jim, and then we'll go to Claire, and then we'll come over here. State your name, affiliation, please.
Jim Otter, Shaw Observer. Question for Mark, and then I have a very quick question for Greg. You've touched a little bit on this in the teleconference this week, but Tony has had success in all forms of motorsports, raced all kinds of things, as well as in NASCAR. And also during his career, he's had run-ins with media, other competitors, and even NASCAR itself. But even through all that, people still hold a large, tremendous amount of respect for him. Why do you think that is?
I think because people see people who have been around and close enough to him to see Tony on the inside, know that he is an incredible person, caring, and an amazing person. And for the people who don't get to know that side of Tony, they might have a different impression. But he's loved in the sport and respected throughout the sport universally, I think, for what a great person he is and the incredible driver and commitment that he has to racing.
And for Greg, there's there's been a lot of talk about what Tony may or may not do, or what he'll be like after the day he comes back. Will he have changed? Do you expect, having your experience with Tony, that Tony Stewart will be any different the day he gets back in the 14 car than he was when he left it?
No, I mean, I hope obviously, he's struggling with the fact that he's not in the car and that he's in this situation, but he's a racer. He loves to do what he does. I hope that and think that he'll come back to Daytona with, something to prove to the world and maybe he'll turn over a whole new leaf that he hadn't got to see you guys for, 4 or 5 months, and he'll be more welcoming to you. I don't know. I can't guarantee that, but,
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
Claire. We love you, Tony. We miss you. Claire, over here.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Quick one for both of you. Mark, you had a conversation with Tony, went to visit him. What was that like? What did you guys talk about?
I couldn't get a word in edgewise, so if that tells you what 2 weeks of bed rest does for you. We talked initially about, he went into great detail about the accident and what caused the injury and the fix for that particular freak accident. What happened was, all the stars had to line up just perfectly for that to happen where it injured him. And he went through in great detail of how they were going to address, preventing that from ever happening again in sprint car racing. Talked a lot about sprint cars, a lot about safety and safety in sprint cars. And we talked some about injuries, and then finally, after about an hour of Tony never taking a breath, I got a chance to talk a little bit about. I had some injury stories for him, and we had the biggest laugh. I thought he was going to start crying once, laughing so hard at a story that I told him about when I had my foot and ankles broke, and it was that story about when Darrell Waltrip drove my car at La Crosse, Wisconsin. And actually, what was funny was the trip from Arkansas to La Crosse, Wisconsin. My dad was driving me up, and it's a long story. Move on past that. So it was a very, very funny story. It sounds like a lie, but it really is not even embellished. It's just crazy. But we had a really good time. We did talk a little bit about the 14 car and about cup racing, but we had a really good time, and he was in really good spirits.
And Zippy, I know obviously Mark and Tony are not the same size. That you did a photo shoot this week. You had to get the uniform. What about the commercial side of it? Getting the uniform, getting everything set, and getting the photo shoot done this week. Are we going to see Mark representing, Tony Stewart in all facets of publicity now too?
Obviously, the sponsors wanted some things done, so I mean we're obviously doing everything we can to be good partners with them and make sure that they can use Mark and whatever they need to from here to the end of the year. So everybody did a great job this week. A lot of stuff got done in a short period of time, but we got it done and feel like everybody chipped in and gave when they needed to, and we were able to get everything done and pulled off.
Okay, let's go here to Deb, then to Jenna, and then to Jeff.
Deb Williams, RacingToday.com. Mark, because the announcement had already been made with Brian Vickers going in full-time, did you feel more at ease taking this position because of that? And did the fact that announcement was made result in you being more prone to take this?
Well, it obviously opened the door, for this to happen, and it's been quite a work in progress since Brian's win up at New Hampshire. Getting Aaron's re-signed, getting Brian signed, getting all those parts and pieces of the puzzle together, and so it was just a matter of timing. Once they got that done, signed, and announced, then it kind of opened the door where it was a win-win for everybody. It's a win for Brian. It's a win for Michael Waltrip Racing. it's a win for myself to have the opportunity to be a small part of Stewart Haas, and I'm not sure I can describe to you what it means to me that Tony wanted me to do this. He is definitely one of my heroes, and people who are paying attention knew that before this ever happened. So it means a lot to me that he wanted me to. And like I said before, I'm a little bit nervous about today because I feel like it's an extraordinary challenge because it's not like I've switched teams, switched around a lot, but usually you have a couple of months and a test or two, to get together. Man, I see a lot of faces I'm not sure I can put names to just yet. So this is going to be action-packed 2.5 hours or whatever today. It's going to be action-packed. And then we're going on and testing next week at Richmond. And I think, that will help us this weekend, and next week's test will help us start getting in the groove. And as we go forward, I think things will smooth out. But it's been pretty intense so far this week.
Let's go to Jenna, and then we'll go to Jeff Owens. Go ahead.
Jennifer, AP, two different questions for Zippy, and I apologize if a version of the first one has been asked in your multiple media sessions over the past few weeks.
While you were on vacation.
While I was on vacation. The physical recovery for Tony is going to be very difficult, but I'm wondering if the mental part of this is going to be just as difficult for him, being out of a car and I guess being alone with his thoughts and the idle time for someone who races pretty much 6 nights a week and has built so much of his life around racing and being in a car.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what he'll learn a little bit about how important it is to him, and sometimes we all take things for granted. And I think at the end of the day, hopefully he'll look back and I think he's bound and determined to change the sprint cars and making them safer and getting that movement going in the direction it probably should have happened years ago. But they're so weight conscious and have been allowed to kind of work in those areas. So I think he's bound and determined to do that, which I think will help everybody over there. And hopefully he'll come back here with a little bit different attitude and understanding how important and how we all rely on him. He's got a lot of kids at Stewart Haas. As we say, as we're under his umbrella, and I know he'll do his best. And I really think when he comes back, I think he's gonna be fired up and ready to show the world that all that time he's had cooped up there will hopefully pay larger dividends for next year, and hopefully start the year off on a stronger note. Obviously, we've got a lot of changes at Stewart Haas and adding things. So there's just a lot of excitement, a lot of positive things to turn this around and to head into next year with.
Which leads into my second question. I believe you didn't talk too much about the reports about an offer to Kurt and potentially an offer to Rodney as well. It seems like there's a lot going on behind the scenes at Stewart Haas, and you guys are seemingly taking a pretty aggressive stance and position on building things for the future. What's going on? I guess maybe not specifically, you don't want to discuss at Stewart Haas, but it seems like you guys are building and being very aggressive and want to become a very large player amongst the heavyweights.
Yeah, I think that's said very well. Is we are looking to expand. We are looking to do whatever we can to make Stewart Haas a better place to race, give our drivers better resources, our crew chiefs and things. Our goal is to build, give our teams better product to race every week going into Daytona with 4 good drivers, next year. I think that it gives us that opportunity. Our owners are aggressive. It's kind of exciting. It's fun in a time where everybody's kind of going the other way. Or we've got owners that are committed to stepping up and hopefully making Stewart Haas a bigger and better place in the future.
Okay, we're going to take 4 more. We got Jeff, David Newton, Alan, and finish with Jim.
Jeff Owens, Sporting News. For Greg, I guess Tony told a radio person this week that he had no intentions of not running sprint cars, that he plans to come back and run them again. And I know y'all have expressed some concern about that. Have you talked about that, and are you okay with him going right back to doing what he was before?
I think that it's too early to get into that stuff. I mean, he needs to go through his process right now. We need to go through ours, and we need to spend time talking, honestly. You know, I don't think you can take Tony Stewart and tell him he can't drive other cars. That is what makes him. That is who he is. Can we get him to cut his schedule back? Can we get him to look at things? Can we you know, help him with this movement of making those cars safer for everybody, including himself? I think those will be the things that come in the next couple of months.
Let's go to David Newton. Raise your hand, David. And then Alan, and finish with Jim Noble.
Yeah, one for Zippy first. Can you be a little more specific? Where do things stand with Kurt, and is Rodney going to be the crew chief for Kevin next year?
You know, we love Rodney. We think a lot of him. He's been a friend of mine for a while. We have talked to many people. He is on our radar, but we have no commitments, nothing signed. So, you know, I talked to people yesterday about the opportunity. We would love to make him part of Stewart Haas, but we are not there yet. As far as Kurt deal, that's moving forward. We're you know, spent some time this week talking about buildings and expanding. So as far as that part of it goes, we're pretty much committed. What's that? We're working on that, and if we can get it all worked out, we're you know, going to head that way.
And Mark, I wanted to ask you, you said you talked to Tony about making the sprint cars safer. Can you go into a little more detail on what happened in the car and what you feel like you can be done to make them safer?
Well, I shouldn't, because I'm not technically familiar with sprint cars, but the way evidently the rear ends usually can't come back because they hit the fuel cell, but when the car went upside down, the rear end was able to get below the fuel cell, and it was able to pull, like, the drive shaft, for me not knowing better, there may be a better word for that, out of the yoke out of the front side, and that's what got him. But I mean, technically, I shouldn't even answer that question because I'm an idiot. I hadn't even, you know, I hadn't ever been closer than 10 feet to a sprint car, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I like I said, he's kind of explained what it is. The torque tube, you know, came out and hit him. There is protection, but obviously that hoop that's there is not enough to contain it, and I think that's the area they're working in.
So the torque tube is actually, in my world, a drive shaft,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Okay. See, I told you I was an idiot.
All right, we'll go
It's a drive shaft in a cup car.
Yeah.
We'll go to Alan and finish with Jim. Go ahead, Alan.
Alan Cavana, NASCAR.com. Mark, having worked with Rodney, can you just talk about his abilities and what the opportunity working with a full-time driver, potentially at Stewart Haas, could do for him and what he could do for the team?
Rodney Childers is an amazing person, and I'll say that first and foremost, amazing. He's very, very smart and very dedicated, and an incredible crew chief. You know, it's funny how things work out. My mission in February was to help him secure a championship caliber sponsor and driver for 2014 so that he could race for a championship in the 55. So how things change over time, you know. But I feel like we still accomplished that. It's just that, you know, he's you know, he may have an opportunity to do it. I would assume that the whole garage would be after Rodney Childers. He did last year. He did a one-year contract instead of a long-term deal because he wanted to wait to see what transpired after our year together. He wanted to continue to, you know, he wanted to work with me and Brian and Michael in 2013 and wait and see what 2014 brought. So he's in that position now to look at all options.
Final question off to the right. Jim Noble, go ahead.
Jim Noble, ESPN and Sirius. This is for Greg. Greg, what essentially transpired in the month since the announcement in New Hampshire that Ryan wouldn't be coming back and Tony's statement at the time that he didn't think you were ready for 4 cars? Has there been a quantum change in philosophy since then that's maybe allowed you to go forward with that 4th car? As much as you can get into that, what has changed?
Yeah, I mean, obviously something's changed. Gene Haas is, obviously a partner and started this many years ago. And, he just came the other day. He's always liked Kurt. We talked about Kurt last year, of putting him in the 39. Things just didn't work out. It's really nothing, that Ryan did wrong. I mean, he's done a great job. He's a good guy. Heck of a driver. This just kind of got sprung on us 14 days ago or less. It's kind of all come down. So, Gene just showed some interest in having the ability to put something together. And without getting into a ton more details, that's really all it is. And it's something we're working on. I don't know that it'll all come together. It's going to take an awful lot. It is kind of late, we didn't think that we would have all the pieces to get put together at Loudon, and felt like it was the best thing for Ryan to give him a fair shot at securing something for himself. I mean, which is the most important thing.
Thank you very much.